Welcome councillors, staff and gallery to the February meeting of Council. We meet here this evening in the spirit of respect, cooperation, collaboration. Collectively we pay tribute to those who have come before us, First Nation people, as we seek to grow our understanding, connection and knowledge of their heritage and their culture with respect and unity. We acknowledge the Ngadjuri, Paramount and Kaurna traditional custodians of these lands within the Barossa, and I also acknowledge the European settlers and those who have come before us, whose customs and traditions have been passed down over 6 generations. May our discussions tonight make a meaningful contribution to the Barossa way of life. Members, we have no apologies, and it's nice to see Councillor Barrett back with us after his operation. All went well, I understand.
Thank you, Ben. Yes,
Very good. Item 2.1.1 is the council meeting held on the 23rd of January 2024 at 5:30, as well as the special council meeting held on Wednesday the 7th of February 2024 at 5 p.m. Would someone like to move those minutes? Councillor Hearn and seconded Councillor De Vries. All those in favour? Carried. There's no matters arising from those minutes. 3.1, there's no petitions. 3.2 is a deputation, and the deputation is for 10 minutes, and that's to do with the stormwater flooding on council stormwater infrastructure in Elizabeth Street and on 18A Elizabeth Street, Tanunda, and issues relating to council's drainage easement on 18A Elizabeth Street. Mrs. Keating, I understand you're here to give your deputation. Beg your pardon?
We both are.
Okay, fine.
But I will start.
Okay, so over to Mr. and Mrs. Keating. I can say that we've all the information that you've provided has been circulated to the elected members, so if you can hit on those key points, and I'll give you a minute warning when we get close to the 10 minutes.
Is that on? Can you hear me?
Yes, fine.
Great. And I'll just make sure I get the arrow the right way. It's not working. Oh, there it is. Yep. Right. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having us here. I'm lucky enough to do the slideshow. We purchased the property in December 2021, and we were aware that there were 2 easements on the property, one at the back that works and one at the side that doesn't. We discovered that on the 28th of February 2022, that the easement to carry council stormwater was not fit for purpose. And so we've had to live in a situation that's not very comfortable. It's not tidy, it's not safe. This is showing the flooding from Elizabeth Street, showing that the drain's not working, heading towards our front door. The welcome mat covered and almost entering our garage. This is how students in the street had to get home because the stormwater drainage was not working. The drain is not coping. The second time I had to deal with the flooding was on the 30th of May when my husband was away. I was home alone, abused by the neighbours because adjacent properties are also flooded. I called the SES. Sorry? access because of the potential flooding, but fortunately I was able to resolve that before they came. So on the 2nd of March, this was prior to the vegetation being removed. We were told that this was an adequate way for the stormwater to transverse from the front of the road through our property to our neighbour's property. As you can see, the water sits there, it doesn't move. It's a health hazard. Mosquitoes breed. That was after most of the vegetation was removed. That was day 1. They had to come back day 2. It was a big task. What we didn't realise at the time was the difference between having a dirt swale and an underground culvert was a cost that we would have paid. We were told by email, if you pay $50,000, you can have an underground culvert. We found out much later that the price difference was $8,000. So in March of 2023, we would have paid that and we wouldn't have had 2 years of a disruptive family life and just a grotty environment. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing when we have friends come to visit. We now have 3 grandchildren, all at various stages, and that water potentially could have dire consequences. Both management and councillors have said the subdivision should never have gone ahead. However, the council approved the subdivision, the council approved the build, always knowing that it would be a problem. It's a historic problem of stormwater management that needs to be fixed. It is not the Keaties wanting better service or, wanting something extra. It's about managing stormwater effectively. This is our backyard. We can't entertain. It's just awful. The easement is for the benefit of the council to assist in stormwater management. The block is 21 metres wide and a dirt swale of 3 metres encroaches on our capacity to achieve a reasonable standard of enjoyment of that land. We've had Christopher Schmidt, the Managing Director from Schmidt and Bentley Engineering Consulting, come out, and he's concerned about the proximity of open drains to the house. Abnormal moisture causes damage. That's common knowledge. It's not rocket science. There's cracking and efflorescence, which means there's deposits of salt, which indicates moisture intrusion, which will compromise structural material. I do have to go back.
Which slide?
Sorry.
It's not working.
It's not. Can you get it back to the 7th of September, please? There. So the drain is inadequate. There is erosion actually under our pavement around our house now. Well, on the side of the easement. The side entry pit is not coping with Elizabeth Street stormwater. This was the latest flooding that we had on the 28th of November. We're now getting extra water from the junior oval as well. This occurred once our neighbours called about the flooding. There was no concern about our land, our flooding.
our state of our environment. But our neighbour phoned and the tractor came in and moved the soil and the sandbags were put down to protect the neighbour's property. We did also have sandbags at the front of our property to protect ours. So this is what our property looked like at Christmas time, and it still does to this day, because even though we've rung up council 3, 4, maybe even half a dozen times, nothing has been done to improve the state of the easement or the state of our environment. The dirt soil clogs up and it doesn't flow. It's a breeding ground for mosquitoes. There are health issues, and there's a disproportional use to the use of our land. As I said, flooding from the junior oval is now occurring when there's excessive watering. These are the side entry pits seen at the bottom of Elizabeth Street and throughout Tanunda, which do their jobs. I could also outline the significant impact this has had on our health, our well-being, our physical and our mental well-being. But I won't, as I'm optimistic. I don't think anyone in management or council comes to their job to not do it properly. I know that you're here to do your best. And I believe most people are good people, and they come from a point of kindness and fairness and being just. And I believe that ultimately that we can work through this in an appropriate and respectful way. It's about managing the council's stormwater through our land, and we would like to do that. That's my part. How many minutes do we have, Andrew?
3.
Oh, Paul, you'll have to speak very quickly. There you go.
Thanks, darling. Look, I put together with DUCBA the document that I'm told that you've received.
Yep.
Look, you've got a lot of documents. I looked at your agenda. But could I ask you, please, it is important to us, would you read it? We've set out there, in terms of, it should be said, this is our home. We live there. We wouldn't do this to your home. We wouldn't pass resolutions about digging up the side of your house, making sure that these things, dirt drains that don't drain. You passed resolutions back in January last year. We didn't even know about it until a couple of days before. We were blindsided because it was completely the opposite of what we were told was going to happen. Then October this year, thank you, you put together at least a way forward. But we never got that. We had no opportunity of addressing anything. You passed a resolution that we were going to pay somewhere in the order of $20,000. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know about you, but I just don't have $20,000. For our sins, we've got a vineyard. And it is not a good time to have one. I can guarantee that. We can't sell our grapes. You're asking us to pay a percentage. $100,000 of that $200,000 estimate was all your responsibility in Elizabeth Street. The 2 SEPs you saw there, that's what an SEP looks like all over Tanunda, all over the Barossa Valley, but not in the front of our house. And it does not drain. You spent over $1 million putting together a junior oval and those sort of things, not 1 cent. You saw the drain at the front. You can't get into the junior oval when it rains because now the junior oval, it drains into the drain on the opposite side of us, and it is supposed to come under Elizabeth Street and ultimately pass through on our land. It is inadequate. That's what the photo shows. The drain in front of our place is an absolute disaster. It's not just our house, it's the neighbouring properties that we're all getting flooded. And this has been going on for years, but it's getting worse because of the additional stormwater that's coming through. Now, none of this was ever discussed with us. And if you're saying, look, why are we here today? Why are we talking to you? Well, nobody will talk to us. We have tried to talk with you. We have tried to talk with management. Nobody talks to us. For some reason, our home can be talked about, but not with the occupants. Now, right from the start of this, when I first met Steve Keisler in February of 2022, following that, we have consistently said, talk to us. We will talk with you. This is something, it's a problem. You should be able to sit down, cooperate and come up with a reasonable resolution. But please, don't pass resolutions about our property without giving us the opportunity of talking about it. It's our home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr and Mrs Keating. Members, there is questions, but we're not here to debate the matter. Councillor Priest, have you got a question?
Thank you for coming tonight. I do feel for you, but I am led to believe that all us councillors are led to believe that from the CEO down, staff have tried to and or have engaged with you. And secondly, when you first looked at the property and you looked at the contract, surely that would have had that it's got an easement in the contract for sale contract. And when you did find out that, did you speak to the real estate agent about the easement and your neighbours about the easement? Was there any problems? Thank you.
Yes, we knew there was an easement. We checked it out. As in the document here, I rang Steve Keisler and I said, is there any problems with the easement? I mean, there's only so much you can do in terms of searching. There was nothing discoverable from council on the searches. With an easement, this is a drain. It takes water from point A to point B. It is not a sump.
Mr Keating, you've answered the question. I'll move on to the next one. I think we understand. If you can just, there was another question there.
Sorry, did you speak to the neighbours as well?
Speak to the neighbours? No, we didn't.
About whether there's any problem with the easement? Yes, he did.
No, we
Okay.
didn't.
Okay, thank you.
And the other question was, have we spoken to people?
No, I think that
Going to
question.
leave that one? I think we should.
Yeah. No, I think that question was answered. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, the first question was about, I'd led to believe, and all us councillors are led to believe that from the CEO
Just turn your mic on, please.
Sorry. From the CEO down, we're led to believe that staff have engaged with you, so I'd be very disappointed if they hadn't. But we are led to believe they have, and we believe that. So when you said that no one's engaged with you, I think our staff have.
Well,
Can I say something?
yeah, sure.
I think it depends on the timeline. Like Paul said, it's fine for when people come and say these decisions have been made about your house or the easement, as opposed to saying we're going to have this discussion. Can you be at the front end of the discussion rather than the end? We have had fruitful discussions with some members on management. We have been bullied by management. I have spoken to councillors who have promised certain things and never got back. There have been other councillors who have always responded, which I've really appreciated. It's been a very mixed bag and it hasn't been open and clear discussions or honest, and at times not very respectful.
Thank you.
Councillor Greatwich.
I really appreciate the sort of closing paragraphs of your written deputation about wanting to kind of find a way forward. I understand that there have been some seemingly workable solutions that have been proposed in the past. And I'm inferring, and so please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm inferring from your spoken deputation just now that those have sort of ceased to be workable, or they've sort of gone off the consideration set for various reasons, and it seemed like cost might have been one of those. So I guess my overarching question is there a workable solution on the table at the moment?
We responded to option 3
Yep.
and have never heard back. We raised some questions about the costing
Mm-hmm.
and we have had no response at all. So we don't know where our last email about that,
Where that
where
stands.
that has gone or what's being considered with that.
I'd also say,
Yeah.
we've included in this our response to it,
Mm.
which is
On one of the many pages.
one of the many pages.
It's near the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, the response
Which
was sent to the meeting. The problem in both circumstances, with, as a result of a resolution back in January 2023, our attempts to meet with firstly, with Ben Chronic come to our place and say, look, can we talk about this? No, that's what the elected members have decided. There was no discussion once you passed the resolution. There was some correspondence with solicitors, Kelly Jones, and I wrote to them and said, listen, this is going to end up in a difficult place, can we not at least talk about it? Next thing, Mr. Clark and Mr. Kreisler come, and we said, well, okay, what are we talking about? No, this is what the elected members have decided. So when you say, didn't we talk or the engagement, there was no engagement because you had made a decision that management felt bound by. So there was no option for us to say, hey, hold on, this is actually wrong for these reasons.
So just to clarify, my question is whether there is a workable solution on the table, and it
Option 3.
sounds like option 3 is kind of where we're at the moment.
Option 3 is the only option that's being presented that actually starts to comply with your own mandate as regards to the AEP. We've set that out. I don't want to go over
No, I
stuff
appreciate that.
which
No,
you've
no.
already read.
Yeah. Okay.
But option 3
Yeah.
seems to be option 3 or option 4.
I love option 5 actually, but I know.
Look, thanks very much for your presentation. I just need to clarify that staff brief us, the council, and council do make the decisions. I just need to defend the staff in all of this. They have only got a level of delegation in their role, and we were briefed on everything. And there's further information that will come back to the chamber in due course. So thank you very much for your presentation. And so we'll move on to volunteer recognition. And
Thank you.
councillors, unfortunately, Maury Dow can't be with us this evening. He's got some ill health, but he's a great volunteer within the community, and I think it's appropriate that I give him this due recognition on your behalf, that he may be able to watch the video at some stage. But Maury is a volunteer who's been involved in the Barossa Council for over 17 years across many areas within our community. Commencing in the community transport program as a driver in 2007, Maury embarked on 71 trips, 360 hours and over 10,500 kilometres. In 2009, Maury was an integral member of the advisory committee and influential in the formation of the Volunteer Rescue Centre, identifying the need to support volunteers and the volunteer organisations in the Barossa and Light regions. The committee successfully secured grant funding for local service. Maury has continued to support and contribute a significant number of hours in many ways, including interviewing, mentoring, facilitating, training, supporting hundreds of volunteers and several staff throughout his service. Since volunteering, his contribution was first captured in the Volunteer Resource Centre in 2014, and Maury has contributed more than 350 hours of his time. The width and the breadth of his influence has spread far and wide through our community. Maury, if you are watching, my friend, your valued contribution, your courage, your determination and passion for volunteering has inspired many lives within our community. Your dedication is admirable, and you have left a lasting impression on those who have worked alongside you. So thank you very much, Maury, for all that you've done. Thank you. Members, we'll move to item 3.4.1. It's a question on notice. Councillor Press, mowing services on page 5. There's a recommendation there that council receive and note the response, and that the questions and the responses be placed in the minutes. Is there a mover of that motion? Councillor Priest, you move the motion. Second it, Councillor Barrett. I think it's all self-explanatory. All those in favour? Carried. Page 10 is the Mayor's report. Any questions? Councillor Barrett.
Haven't got a question, just a comment, and it's the tour down under. I'd just like to add a bit more for full brand recognition and tourism opportunities. The Health Partners Stage 3 also went through Springton and Mount Pleasant. They had a sprint finish in the main street of Mount Pleasant, so that was very good. But the best thing about it all is the Department of Transport and Infrastructure and Transport come through and they fixed all the potholes in the main street of Mount Pleasant. It was excellent.
And everywhere else. I knew there was a reason there.
No, very good. Yeah, no, it was a very successful day. 2 days as far as that was concerned. Yes. Yeah, I mainly focused on the fact that I guess I lived in Williamstown and I seen them twice, didn't I? Moved Councillor Hearn and seconded Councillor Evans.
I had a question.
Oh, yep.
So I still have a question on the Mayor's report.
Yes, go for it.
Is that still okay?
Yep.
Okay. On the 18th of the 1st, 2024, you had a meeting with the Southern Cross Business Alliance in regards to Williamstown and Lyndoch and Williamstown. Could you just give a brief summary of what you spoke to the committee about?
Well, they spoke to me what they wanted, and we had a discussion. It was really about signage, which is in the Light Council, directing anybody that's on Gummersall Road towards Williamstown and Lyndoch. There was some debate about the appropriate signage that they were talking in response to the Southern Barossa. I explained to them that my preference, and we've had some informal discussion, that it was best to promote the Barossa and not fragment the brand. And I suggested to them that we actually put signage there which talks about Barossa, but also directs them to Lyndoch. And so they have accepted that and understand the importance of keeping the brand intact. And so they were more than happy with the conversation I had with them. So it really becomes a department matter as far as what they'll put there. And so I'll forward that off to the department on their behalf.
And also on the 15th of the first Lyndoch Recreational Park and Stakeholders Update meeting. Could you just give a brief summary of what's spoken there, please?
I think, Councillor, we've had a fair update with that along at the different workshops, but it was really just, once again, having the conversations about what they envisage and how best we can cater for everybody's, requests, but within the constraints of what we're working to. So it was a productive meeting, the one that I went to, and everyone had an opportunity to have input in, and we have had workshops to that effect in previous times, and we'll probably discuss it a little bit further later on. Nothing further? I'll just get you to turn your mic off, please. No further questions? All those in favour? Carried. There's matters for information, 6.1, and there's items there, the Adelaide Peri-Urban project, along with other items. Is there any questions on those matters for information? Councillor Schilling.
Thank you. Yes, so just on the Peri-Urban project, it was a very interesting read, and it's been something that I know our staff have been concerned about for a while. What is the, what do we see our role in stage 2? Because it looks like what's happened to date has been funded by the LGA, and now it's up to the councils to fund the stage 2. So I'd like to know what we see our role, and are we going to commit staff and dollars to the second part of that plan? Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I guess the very short answer to that is not at this time. We simply don't have the resources. We can look at what it involves, but no, we haven't planned to do any additional work.
Are any of the other participating councils?
I'm not sure of that one.
So it'll just sit.
We can double check what other councils are doing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, could you scroll back? Yeah. 6.3 and 6.4. Through the chair, did you attend any of those meetings?
No.
Because I think through the chair, my question is I think they are very important meetings that someone from council should have,
Councillor Priest, I said no, but they're still about to happen. I should have put a comma in there and not a full stop.
Sorry, I'll let you finish, sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. No, I haven't attended them because they're coming up, and I do intend to attend them. Yeah.
So you're going to the National Assembly as well?
Yes.
Oh, great.
And I haven't been for a couple of years. And yeah, I haven't been for a couple of years, but I intend to go to this next one. Yes. Yep.
Good.
Okay.
Now, with that, you're going on your own. You're not going with anybody else?
Periodically, yes, sometimes a staff member will attend with me, the CEO or a delegate, yes.
Okay.
And we look for the opportunity to speak to whatever ministers federally that we can. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for that. The debate agenda, 7.1.1 on page 67, the review of the central local government regions of regional council known as Legatus, governance structure, charter, strategic review and resulting strategic framework on page 67 with a recommendation for council to consider. And there's a bit of a chart there that talks about some of the items. That meeting will be held on Friday. Moved Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Schilling. Either one wish to speak to it? All those in favour? Carried. (7.1.2) on page 148 is the local government participation and elections review submission. There was a briefing on some of the content of that review at a recent workshop, and now that's been collated to be forwarded off to the Minister. Councillor Priest,
I'll move that such motion.
moved Councillor Priest and seconded Councillor Troop. Do you wish to speak at all? Any questions? All those in favour? Carried. Page 202, 7.1.3 is the CEO's Performance Review Committee 2024, CEO.
Obviously, I declare a conflict of interest that relates to the performance review, and I'll leave the meeting while you figure out who's going to be on the committee.
Thank you. Councillor De Bries.
Yeah, look, I was on the previous committee and along with Councillor Angus and Councillor Evans, I think Councillor Hearn. I would like to, normally I wouldn't go a second time, but given some of the, I think, things we saw firsthand, I'm going to suggest I'd like to go again just so that we can sort of refine it, and rather than having somebody else who's, you know, new to it having to play catch up. I think probably if some or all of the people who were there last time were sort of went one more time, I think that might get that process over the line. But anyway, I'd like to be included in that either way.
Yeah, just a question. Is it just one councillor or is it two?
I'm suggesting two in the report
Oh, yeah, I couldn't
because
see that.
you know I think we can overload it.
It was 2 years ago.
I think two. Yep. Councillor Hearn, you're volunteering?
Well, I had my mic on and I'm going to volunteer as well.
Oh, okay. Well, if you had your mic on, you get priority. So sorry. You've got to learn the way.
And I'm happy not to do it next year, you know, so as long as people get a chance to
Okay, look, I do have two, and I don't want to overload it either. But if you're happy with two, if you want to go the third, well, that's your decision.
No, him, it goes against his contract.
Oh, okay, it goes against the contract. Sorry, okay. Two.
I thought it was David as well, that's three.
No, David and John.
And
Yeah, I've overridden his because Councillor Angus had his mic on and I should have looked at the screen.
but then if there's three though, if he has opportunity, should we go to a vote then? Because he's nominated as well.
Yes, yes.
By the law.
Yeah, but if Tony as I said, if you want to put the extra one on, you could. But I think Tony was suggesting he might. What do you want to do, Tony?
Well, I was keen because I was going to make a suggestion that we drop to fifth that. I was going to, I've got the sound out of this one. It's on. Yeah, I haven't got that. I was going to suggest that we go back to the system we had a couple of years ago without a moderator. I think it was an absolute waste of time.
We're not allowed to. We're not allowed to.
Do you have to have one?
Yes, we do by law, but we'll.
I thought it had been changed.
No. We've still got to have those two other people, the independent and the person that's running it. But we intend to go back. My intention is to go back to the previous guy that we had before and modify it so it wasn't such a lengthy ordeal and a bit abstract.
For the sake of an election, I won't crowd a fuss me, but I think the safety in numbers and different varying ideas.
Thank you. Councillor Priest.
If he's pulled out, then I won't ask my question of point of order.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think there was a point of order because I was going to accept it if that's what you wanted. But anyway, okay, anything further? All those in favour?
I'll move it.
Oh, sorry, yeah, they've nominated. Moved Councillor Schilling, sorry, and seconded Councillor Priest. Okay, sorry about that. Now, all those in favour? Carried. 7.1.5 on page, 7.1.4 on page 211 is the appointment of representatives to the Section 41 Sister City Advisory Committee. There's been an expression of interest and there's a list of those names along with their CVs. It's just now a matter of formally making that appointment and then we can move ahead with that group. Move Councillor De Vries, Councillor Priest, seconded Councillor Priest. Either one wish to speak to it? All those in favour? Carried. (7.1.5) on page 221 is the new initiatives for 2024-2025 budget direction of proposal to assess any new initiatives. Any questions?
Yes, make sure that we get certain ones on the list. There's 2 sections in this, Mayor.
Hang on, I've got a mic on first. Councillor Barrett.
I would just like to move a motion that this lay on the table. I'm happy to give an explanation if you like.
You don't debate formal motions.
I'll second it.
Second it?
Yep.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, and we don't debate it for it.
We need a reason.
Hey,
You need a reason.
excuse me, Mr. You actually have to have a motion delay first.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, yes. You haven't got a motion yet. Okay, sorry. We need to have a motion first, then it can lay on the table.
Can we just talk about what's happening here and then decide after?
I think that you're within your right to ask questions.
Yeah.
Which... Yeah, Councillor Priest.
Yeah, being such a thing that we're going to move and vote on, gee, it's very hard to not give away some things, isn't it, what I'm going to talk about? This is so important to the Barossa Council and the community that I think that we need a lot more time to consider this.
A question.
Question is, should we let this lay on the table for another time or another committee workshop? Because this is so important that I think it's being rushed.
I think our answer is we haven't got a motion to lay anything on the table. CEO.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. If you want to discuss it in a workshop, put a motion up to discuss it to the workshop.
You can put, these are recommendations. You want to put a motion up that this be discussed at a next workshop, then so be it.
Is this the microphone working?
Yep.
How do we get some of the things that are on part 2 or the bottom part of this into it if it's delayed?
I think we've got to work on the motion first before we start talking about how we work, get the parts wherever you need them. Councillor De Vries, thank you.
Your Worship, I'm going to take pity on the council and move that we discuss the items within item 7.1 at a future workshop.
Councillor Angus.
Well, I was going to ask a question, Mayor, and that is, how time specific is this item? Because budget time comes around pretty quickly and we can't just keep putting things off. And if we can go into an informal discussion, there's no reason why we couldn't go through things in the next 10 minutes.
CEO.
The answer to your question, thank you, Mayor, is that it can wait to another workshop. The reality is the majority of the budget's well advanced. The experience of any new initiatives is a few lines. The issue is how much and how many you want assessed, because that takes time. So basically it's here because it's following the program that you've already approved. From an administrative perspective, if you put it off to workshop, we can include it in March in a couple of weeks. It's not of concern to me.
Okay, I do have a motion on the table, so if someone wants to second, we put it off until...
Sorry, could you just read that motion again, please?
Yeah, hang on.
Are you moving that, councillor Barrett?
No.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's got moved to councillor Barrett.
Effectively, it's the equivalent of laying it on the table.
So it's got councillor Barrett.
Excuse me, Mayor, why are we trying to put something off that we're going to...
We can discuss. Councillor, I got a motion, I need to get a seconder. Councillor, you've seconded that? Okay. Speak.
Thanks, councillor Preece. Look, it's very clear that people are unclear on exactly what these items are, and I don't like the idea of voting on something if everybody's not 100% across the brief. As a result, given that councillor Barrett was talking about laying it on the table, which is effectively deferring it anyway, all this is doing is formalising that process. So, and if we lay it on the table and then don't discuss it, then we're just basically kicking the can down the road. So this is at least a way to advance it in a meaningful way. It's obvious that it wasn't going to get traction tonight, so this gives us a chance to have a look at it in a couple of weeks' time and then revisit it in next month. And any items that would get through this, and from past experience, there won't be many, if any at all, will be, they are not time critical, put it that way. They will still have plenty of time to get it into the budget.
Any other comments?
I'd like to speak against the motion, Mayor.
You can speak against the motion.
I've been a councillor for 11 years and 3 more to go, hopefully, God willing. But I cannot understand why we come to a meeting and then try and fob something off. If there's 2 or 3 items in that we could discuss tonight, giving staff time to actually look at it and then work out if we need to debate the issue even further. But I just think we're putting the obvious off, and I think it's perhaps the workshop that's going to follow is clouding our decision-making process at this point of time in the meeting.
Any further comments?
Thanks, Mayor. Councillor Hearn, I accept your comments, but I'm afraid a workshop situation is a better place for discussion of these sort of things. It's more open, less rushed, and I'd ask you to support the motion. I know your mic's not working, but I think we can have a very good discussion in early March, and it's not super time specific, and we're not dodging the issue.
Sure. There you go. Tony, you're on.
Oh, you can hear me
Yeah.
from here.
Go.
Thank you for those wise comments, Councillor Angus, but sorry?
Any further comments? If not, I'll put the motion. All those...
Sorry, man. Got a bit excited on this side of the chamber.
Item
Do it
2,
that way.
on page 229, 7.1.6 is the amendment, the code of practice for meeting procedures. With a recommendation there on that page, which I need to Councillor Priest.
If no one wants to talk about it, I'll move it.
No questions, I'll accept.
I think Councillor Barrett's wanted to ask a question.
Councillor Greatwich.
Councillor Barrett?
I was just going to second it, that's all. I didn't have any questions.
Well, I've got a mover, Councillor Priest.
I think Councillor Greatwich wants to ask a question.
A question.
Thank you. I just wanted to be particularly clear on my reading of this. The amendments are in order to bring our council-specific policy in line with the mandatory legislative framework, and that said to me that perhaps we have been out of alignment with that process. I'm particularly interested at the moment in issues of how many days.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Greatwich. It's actually one very simple thing we picked up when we were having discussion about how we potentially extend the consultation. The policy says 5 days, the Act says 70. So it was just changing the 5 to a 7, that's all we're doing. At the end of the day, the policy has no effect because it can't override law, but it's a typo that we picked up when I was having that conversation with you.
The mover and the seconder, you wish to speak? No.
No, nothing to say.
Okay. No further questions? All those in favour? Carried. Yeah. 7.1.7 is the addendum report on the Concordia vision, which we was briefed at the previous workshop, so that's now here for council to consider. The No, there was addendum that was circulated with the an email as an addendum to the report, which was circulated to everybody, which picked up on the Concordia vision. And we was briefed on it the other night as to what that was all about. Any questions?
I'm happy to move this. With all of these things, the devil's in the detail, but as a broad overview, I think it's a good way forward.
No further comments? All those in favour? Carried. 7.2.1 is the rate rebate policy on page 253 with a recommendation there for members to consider on page 253 as per attachment 1.
Mayor, it's a long shot, but as a board member of a group that gets a benefit from this, I will state that this organisation gets a benefit, but I don't really believe I've got a conflict.
Respectfully, through you, Mayor, you're not actually making a decision on giving a rebate.
No, that's true.
You're putting a policy framework in which reflects the Act and simply a mechanism to help the community understand a very complex piece of law.
Move the recommendation, Your Worship.
No, thank you.
All those in favour of adopting that policy? Carried. 7.2.2 is the monthly finance report as at 31st of January 2024 on page 264. Any questions with regard to that financial report?
I've got a question, Mayor.
Councillor Hearn.
One of the CEO, back in November, we passed a certain amount of money for the flags that are going up or the banners that are going up around the Barossa. and there were a couple of numbers quoted, and where that, I'm not exactly sure where that all that money came from, but there was one number there that apparently took $30,000 from the NCPA. Is that correct?
No, through you, Mr Mayor. I think you're actually talking about the next report.
Oh, right, I'll withdraw the question.
I think you are. The 30,000 you... I'll answer that question perhaps. You're talking about the budget update, which is the next report.
I'll second it, Mayor, then.
Moved councillor De Vries and seconded councillor Hearn. Either one, any comment?
No, I have a good faith feeling that the numbers are accurate.
All those in favour of the financial report? Carried. 7.2.3, the budget upgrade, the update. This is the quarter 2, 2023-2024, as at the 31st of December 2023, on page 267.
I have a question.
Okay, I'll go with councillor Hearn's question first, and then councillor Schilling. Yes.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Councillor Hearn, thank you for your question. The $30,000 was increased funding for the delivery of that project across the region. There was no money from this NCPA from that.
Okay. So could I just have a quick follow-up question? Why, when we see those things in there, there's only numbers. Sometimes we don't know exactly where it comes from. So why don't we put a name to those numbers?
You may need to show me the line.
Yeah.
Because normally every line's got a description.
Yeah, and you can refer to it in other parts, yeah.
But I can guarantee you the line that you are talking about, I'm aware of, was a simple increase to the budget to deliver that project.
Yes, I just would like some clarification, if I may please, on page 282, under offices and community facilities in the big project, salary design and preparation. We've put in the budget 200,000 and the revised budget is now 332. Just as clarification, I thought that big project team is no longer existence and it's been taken up into a different directorate. So I was just wondering where that money, why that line is still in there, just as clarification, please. Thank
Sure.
you.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Schilling. So whilst the big project, so to speak, as a unit in itself doesn't exist in itself, projects are still happening. So the people that are developing them, delivering those projects are still costing it out to those costs. So, for instance, even a part of my salary goes to the big project costs. That amount floats up and down as we need to move budget around for the different salary allocations. Because when we do a budget, we're estimating how much time we're going to spend on particular projects. We might spend more hours on that and less on that. So it moves around during the year.
I just, because we had people that were in those roles, that there should be a saving for those wages that are no longer happening. So that
Through
was
you, Mr.
where I
Hicks.
didn't quite understand. Thank
Correct,
you.
there is some savings, but that is basically the adjustment bucket that goes up and down. And there potentially will be some savings at the end of the financial year because of those structural adjustments. But there are still costs, obviously, in terms of delivering that are getting charged to the particular projects.
Sorry. On page 286, I'm just trying to understand the long-term financial plan. There's no change to the... Oh, sorry, I'll wait till then.
Next one, please.
Do you want me to move, is the other one being moved?
Thank you. I need a mover and a seconder for
Happy to do that.
the budget update. Moved councillor De Vries, seconded councillor Angus. Either one wish to speak to it? All those in favour? Carried. Now, the long-term financial plan on page 286. Councillor Schilling, you had a question?
No, actually, I'll retract that question, thanks. I think I answered it myself as I was reading through.
Was it Clayton's?
Any further questions?
Move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Moved Councillor Breeze and seconded Councillor Lane. Either one wish to speak?
No.
All those in favour? Carried. Next item is 7.3.1 is the Mount Pleasant Farmers Market Kitchen Shed Renewal on page 302. Councillor Priest.
Oh, unless Councillor Barrett wants to move it, I'll second it. No, I said unless.
You've got to turn your mic on.
So you're moving it?
I'll second it.
Well, I'll get the mover then.
I'm happy. I'm happy to move it or second it. Don't worry me either way.
Moved Councillor Barrett and seconded Councillor Priest.
I just had a question. I had a question.
Question? Yep. I'll just let you speak to it, Councillor Barrett.
Oh,
I'd just like to thank staff for bringing this one forward and the assistance they've given me today in filling me in on quite a few of the finer details on this project. So that's all I've got to say at this stage.
Councillor Priest?
Shouldn't we ask the questions first before we, shouldn't, questions? Okay.
I'll pick and choose.
Okay, all right.
Councillor Shelley.
thank you. Yes, I was just wondering about the usage of the kitchen. It's obviously used for the farmers market, but does the kitchen get used during the week for any other, or weekends for any other purposes? Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. It's hired ad hoc, but the Show Society also use it as a part of their dealings. So they've both been engaged with on the project.
I'm very much in support of this. I think it's fantastic. Anything that we can do to support our farmers markets obviously is a wonderful thing. I just wanted to be clear about the process. It appeared to me that this is an ad hoc spend that has kind of arisen out of the necessity of the kitchen not meeting the health standards. And I just wanted to be clear about the process for community organisations to kind of bring these matters forward, because my understanding is that the farmers market is an incorporated association, and so it has that sort of a degree of financial independence. So I just wanted to be clear about what process community organisations can follow. This is quite a significant amount of infrastructure spending, and if there is a formal process or whether it's simply that arises on an ad hoc basis.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Growich. It's like any other request. They lodge a customer request and we'll investigate it. If it needs capital intervention, we then schedule that for when it needs intervention. This is a particularly urgent one. It also reflects that our building investment, which we talked about at the last workshop, we are now getting much better data and we will start to get ahead of these types of things as well.
Thank you. Questions are out the way. So, Councillor, that's the problem with jumping in to move something before I get the questions. Okay. No further comment? You wish to close the debate? All good. Question, sorry.
No question. I was just, that's okay.
All those in favour? Carried. 7.3.2 is the Australian Country Cricket Championship on page 305. And a recommendation there that council supports the Australian Country Cricket Championship and approves the following. So I'm going to go questions first. Questions? Councillor Greatwich. Okay, you had your mic on, so.
I was just happy to move the motion.
Moved Councillor Greatwich. I heard a mumble over there. Councillor Hearn.
I had a question.
Okay, right. Quorum.
You got to put your light on.
Quorum. Okay. Councillor Priest.
Yeah, just on the $20,000 included in the budget, hasn't the council put enough into the cricket club and Tanunda Oval and that, well, in all our previous budgets? Because I gather this is going to be at Tanunda Oval, is that correct? No. Oh, okay.
The report spells out multiple locations, and this is all over the valley, and this is an event. It's not just going to a cricket club as such. This is an event bringing in visitor participation and probably a lot of accommodation. So it's over multiple ovals.
Yes, apologies of staff not asking this question beforehand. Have we got any idea of how much the in-kind support may cost? Just a ballpark figure. I don't expect anything exact.
So I can speak from the infrastructure side. So we're already maintaining the ovals, so it'll be probably just more an adjustment to the mowing schedules to align with what they're trying to do. And SACA works with the clubs on the turf wicket preparation. So they'll work directly with the clubs to support the turf wickets themselves, and we'll just support with mowing and our fertiliser program. So it'll be more of an adjustment to the existing programs rather than additional support beyond that.
Once the mover and seconder have spoken, I want to speak in favour of this motion.
Yeah, I was the same, so I'll...
The mover and the seconder. Oh, questions. Have I got I haven't got a mover and a seconder yet, have I? No.
Just
Have I? Okay, sorry. Yes, I have. Now I'm getting lost.
through the chair, thank
Yeah.
you. Now, just a very quick question following on from Councillor Barrett's question to Ben. Actually, maybe not to Ben, maybe to Joe, I'm not sure, about the in-kind support, what that would equate to financially for the marketing and the event awareness and distribution in the region. I just wondered what we'd be looking at there.
We, through you, Mr. Chair, we haven't, I don't have a figure to quote for you, but we would ordinarily absorb all marketing and promotional activity within our core normal business, because we often promote other events and matters of special interest to the community as part of our core business. So it's no impost beyond BAU.
That's right, I was just, thank you, trying to identify, thanks.
Finally get to talk about my love of cricket in the chamber. No, I think this is wonderful. I think it cuts over a number of really critical Venn diagrams that we have in our region in terms of tourism and visitation. Die-hard, lifelong cricket fan. I'm really thrilled to see the Australian Country Cricket Championships coming to the Barossa. I think it's wonderful. There's been a lot of conversation about gather round and that sort of thing, and football's all right, but cricket's a gentleman's and a gentlewoman's game. So I'm very delighted to see this coming up.
Thank you, Mayor. Just as a point of interest, the NCPA do the Nuriot per Oval, I believe, in this thing. So that's just included in their general running, and that the mowing schedule for that they do a lot more mowing in that time as per the Cricket Association.
Sorry. I just wanted to say I've been to 4 of these. My partner has played in them in the past, and they're amazing events, and they just book out accommodation, they get catering from local clubs, they have big functions that are catered in the region. So the amount you would get back from that 20,000 would be quite huge.
Thank you, Your Worship. In the last 12 months, we've had hosting the football country carnival, and then we've also had the swimming, both interestingly at Niripta, both hugely successful and pumped a heck of a lot of money through the Vine Inn and other venues. And as the report points out, the Vine Inn and the Niripta Caravan Park will both be the primary venues where people are going to be staying. So Niripta is going to be a big winner yet again. So I'm sure Councillor Priest will be delighted by that. So I think we should be getting behind this. We've supported cricket, we've supported football, we've supported swimming. They've both been hugely successful, and let's make cricket equally successful.
And I might add that we've got the National Veterans Cricket in the Barossa this weekend, and already they're walking around the streets of our Barossa towns with their polo shirts on. And what was that? Did I say something wrong? Oh, sorry, okay. No. They are visiting our restaurants and cafes this morning already, leading up to the weekend. So it is great for the region, and it's great for our brand, and it's great for tourism. And the spin-offs to our restaurants and all of the accommodation is great. Anything further? Wish to close the debate? All those in favour? Carried. (7.3.3) is a submission to the Department of Infrastructure and Transport, Adelaide North Transport Study on page 309. Any questions? Councillor Greatwich.
Yeah, just a brief question, and I apologise. I did read this. It was getting late by the time I got to this one. So I just want to be clear. We put this out and sought submission or feedback on it initially, and I understand that there was very limited, maybe perhaps no feedback was received on this. Is that correct? I'm just wondering. Sorry, let me that was a poorly framed question. Did we receive any feedback on, or there was any community opportunity to provide? I know that I saw some opportunity for the community to provide some feedback to it, but perhaps we didn't receive anything.
No, I think I can let Mr. Clark, but my understanding that this is being initiated by the Department of Transport. They're having,
yes, no, I knew that. Yeah,
they're having briefing sessions.
Yeah.
And they're not having any in the Barossa. But I'm not aware of any other consultation other than they have met with our council staff. But Mr. Clark.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So because this one was sort of put out publicly by DOT, we didn't do a formal consultation ourselves. So this is a submission based on sort of staff officers' understanding of the region and the needs and associated with that.
I think I've got submissions on the plate at the moment. Thank you.
Councillor Priest.
I just wish to move it.
If there's no further questions, I'll accept Councillor Priest's move and seconded by Councillor Hearn. You wish to speak to it? Councillor Priest?
Yes, and let's hope they bring a passenger train through to the Barossa Valley. That's all.
Any further comments? Did you want to speak to it? No. All those in favour? Carried. One is the heritage site photography proposal on page 320. Councillor Schilling, you have a question?
No, I wanted to move the recommendation.
I'll grab some questions first, if there is any. If there is none, question? No. All right.
I'm just going to second it.
No, I think Councillor Schilling, you had your light on and turned it off.
Councillor Greatwich has got it.
I do. I'm happy to second it.
You're moving? Moved Councillor Schilling and seconded Councillor Greatwich. you wish to speak to it?
Yes, I just hope that the Chamber supports this project. I think I've been involved in the Heritage Network on and off for a little while, and it's great to have some updated photographs of our heritage sites in our region, and I hope you all support it. Thank you.
I'd just like to really echo that sentiment as well. High quality, really compelling visual imagery from a tourism perspective is absolutely critical. I did note that the recommendation says that council provide in-kind support to administer the project, and I would just like to say that I hope that that also includes perhaps connecting this broader project with Barossa Australia from a tourism perspective, because there are opportunities to use that imagery for things like being loaded up into the South Australian Tourism Commission's media gallery and that sort of thing. So there's an enormous scope to really leverage a really considerable amount of value out of this project. It looks fantastic.
I'd just like to make sure that council has access to all these images for its own historical records, that they're not copyrighted to the people that we're giving the money to. So, because our own historical records are as important as anyone else's, and I agree with Councillor Schilling, it's a very good initiative, but I don't want to give $7,000 to someone who takes the money and runs. Gives us the photos, but we only get, they're only available to the one person who commissioned them. So, if you know what I mean.
Taking that as a question or as a...
Well, as a comment, I'm happy to support it, but I'd like a qualifier.
My understanding is we are the commissioning body, so we own the copyright.
And if I can make a comment through the chair, as you notice in the report, Mount Pleasant Group, I can't remember the actual name, did put up an application in community assistance grants to have photographs, but there was some discussion about the ownership of the photos. So therefore, by going and council commissioning it, then they become council-owned photographs.
Councillor Schilling, did you just close the debate then?
She did.
Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. 7.4.2 on page 323, Wellbeing Plan Partnership with the Wellbeing South Australia Grant Agreement. There's a grant agreement there. Any questions? Councillor Schilling.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. Speak to it?
Just that I think it's a great opportunity for our Community Services Department to have some direction on moving forward, and with the seed funding that will really assist the development of the program. So yes, I think it's a great opportunity for the department. Thank you.
I'm just hoping when we had Tony Passon in and he was talking about possibly bringing up a headspace up to the Barossa, this might just kickstart that if we can work out that there is enough demand. I love the use of wellbeing, but there's so many other things we need to address, and if we can get something like this started, I'm all for it. Yeah.
Use the mic.
Oh, double. Just being in the having worked in suicide prevention since its inception and in the Barossa, and also just being involved in lots of different things throughout the area, I just think this is a comprehensive view which we haven't had before. We actually haven't had a comprehensive sort of overall overarching, it's been bits and pieces, you know, bit ad hoc. So I think that this might add some continuity coming from leadership perspective, from our leadership perspective. So I'd be supporting this definitely.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I second what's been said by all of our colleagues here in chambers today. Very much needed, very much welcome initiative, and I really hope they get some hard data and wonderful outcomes out of this with implementation of a program that really can assist our community in every possible way. Thank you.
Yes, I fully support the project. I just have a word of caution. When I started reading all the footnotes as I read through the whole report, there's only one thing that sort of concerned me a little bit, and I'll read it out so people appreciate when you start doing these wellbeing studies. And it picks up partly what Councillor Lane said. It says, according to the Australian Unity Wellbeing Index, personal wellbeing in Australia has remained relatively stable over the last 20-year period, despite events like COVID and black summer bushfires. So just a word of caution as we spend money on this, because as I read through the documentation, I see there's a co-investment by the council of what they estimate of $45,000. That's from page 331 of our agenda. That is a project officer at level 5 for a couple of hours a week. So I just hope everything comes to fruition. Thank you. Said my piece.
Yeah, I just wanted to say also that I support it, and that we're excited that tomorrow at Faith we've got a wellbeing day, and council are coming along to hold a stall there. So we're really happy to see council's involvement in that, and look forward to talking about it next meeting.
Yes, I would. Thank you. As you know, I've always been a big advocate for youth and youth programs and youth services, and I'll certainly be looking forward to this project fleshing out some opportunities for some youth services in the Barossa. And yes, I hope you all support the proposal.
Closes the debate. All those in favour? Carried. Members, that brings us to our confidential report on the Angus Recreational Park canopy collapse and legal insurance matters on page 334. So will someone move that we go into confidence? Councillor Greatwich and Councillor Evans. All those in favour, we go into confidence. Carried. Thank you. Questions? Councillor Priest.
No, I was just going to move the motion. I thought we were using our sabres.
Okay. I'll just take out of confidence. If you can open the door and turn the... We out?
Yeah, you automatically can.
Oh, yeah, but if you turn the microphone on. Okay. With that, members, that concludes our February meeting. Our next scheduled ordinary meeting is the 19th of March at 5:30, but as you're aware, we do have a special meeting tomorrow evening. So with that, I formally close the February meeting.